gentlemen have served in the armed forces for our country, and frankly, I just think we want calculations to be correct, and the opportunity, if they're wrong, then to rapidly correct them. What's your story, Lee?
I was told that I had overpaid after complaining that the CSA had not taken into account my service invalid and pension, which would have made my assessment to be paid at a flat rate. And they then said I'd overpaid. And then they backdated all the assessments again, whacking on all the arrears of over £18,000.
£18,000 of arrears.
Yes.
And you think that you'd overpaid by how much initially?
£6,000.
£6,000.
Yes. I then challenged that again, went to a tribunal, and the judge said it wasn't in his jurisdiction, and to recomplain to the CMS.
But after the original calculation, the CMS, they admitted an error, didn't they?
They did. They admitted there was an official error, and they had maladministrated my case.
So let's just, I mean, this is really important, where the CMS admitted that overpriced, essentially.
Yes.
Overcalculated by £6,000.
Yes.
But then they sort of reversed that decision.
They did. They reversed the whole assessment back to 2008 at the start of the case.
So if I'm sort of speaking for the other side, what might have gone on at the CMS in order to come back to the calculations and say, we admitted the error, but now we've re-looked at it again, and we think we were right in the first place?
Yeah, so they went to the parental care and got her to put in a variation, which is against their own policy to encourage that to be done.
And the process to appeal, if you think an error's been made, just talk us through this process, because this is the critical point. How does that work? Have you got enough time to put your case as to what the true numbers should be?
Not really, I don't think. No, you've got to go through a mandatory reconsideration, which I did. I obviously went to court, and they said I can't. He can't deal with it then. But
because initially there's an appeal. You've got a process to appeal before they go for the liability order, isn't there?
Well, this is a bit different with this case now. So obviously I got a liability order, and I went to court, in which I wasn't able to challenge.
You weren't able to challenge the corrections. And this is what they call, I think, Section 33.4, isn't it, from the 1991 legislation?
Yes, yeah.
And the barrister, he actually said that it couldn't be challenged in court.
That's right, and he was quite smug when he said that as well.
And look, I mean, so we did actually ask. We wanted to get some representation from the other side, so we did actually ask the barrister in this case whether he'd come on and explain this, because you might think, well, if this is in place, there must be a logical reason, but it's just against all natural justice to not be able to inform a judge, clearly the numbers are wrong, then you need to essentially press the pause button and go back and get the DWP to recalculate, the CMS to recalculate.
That's right, yeah. So I've gone now on to trying to appeal those liability orders, in which I was supposed to go to the Financial Remedies Court, but they don't want to deal with it, and they're putting me back to the CMS.
So it's sort of like a merry-go-round.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's no clear path how to appeal.
Mark, were you clear how long you had to correct the numbers, to sort of essentially appeal the numbers?
It wasn't made clear. Apparently they'd sent leaflets and documents, which was like reams of it, which explains the process. But by the time I'd got through that, it's just difficult to read. It's difficult to sort of try and fathom.
I mean, and it's not very long. I think it's just a matter of 30 days or so.
30 days, yeah. 30 days.
Which actually, in order to go through the various process, feels like a fairly short period of time. Having said that, obviously, as a non-resident parent, you know, one's got to be paying one's due debts. That's the key point. I think we have got a statement from the Department of Work and Pensions, because we asked them, obviously, for a comment. They said that child maintenance parents help keep around 160,000 children out of poverty on average each year, and we continue to improve the CMS through automating simple processes and spending more time with vulnerable customers. CMS payments, they go on to say, they're calculated so they're reasonable and affordable for the paying parent, and decisions can be appealed and a court will decide if they are wrong. Really? Similarly, there are appeal rights for paying parents where the CMS intends to take enforcement action. I have to say, I mean, I've read out that statement, but that doesn't feel to match the stories that I'm hearing today, and it doesn't match what I heard and the statement back at the new year. But we'll keep talking about this. We'll talk about it in the second hour with Charlie Peters, and also a retired solicitor who used to work with and act on cases with the CMS. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing your stories. I know it's not easy, but it's so important so that others actually can talk about it. And if you've got experiences on this, please do get in touch. GBviews at gbnews.com. Now, coming up after the break, I'll be sitting down with the one and only Stanley Johnson to discuss his new book about the 700th anniversary of the death of Marco Polo. I might drop in a bit of climate change and what's going on with the farmers in Europe into the discussion. Who knows? You're watching Richard Tice on GB News. It's Britain's news channel.